think sort of Western culture things, good guys, watch this, in Star Wars movies, okay? If anyone's seen Star Wars movies, the good guys in one of those big battles are always moving from left to right, and the bad guys are always moving from right to left. I'm not kidding. That's the good guys go this way, the bad guys, it's our culture. Just, I planted the seed, it'll corrupt your viewing now. Okay, so one of the most elaborate investigations we did was in Campeche, Mexico. And there was a very famous incident where the military cargo aircraft had a very expensive plane-mounted, cargo airplane, plane-mounted FLIR camera, forward-looking infrared. It's also a company, it's very confusing. But anyway, it's a very high-res infrared thermal camera. And what they did, they gave the footage to Jaime Maussan, who's an investigator turned UFO expert in Mexico, and then it gained international exposure after that, and it's really like Independence Day stuff. So this plane is capturing images of these unknown lights, and the crew is totally freaked out. And they count 11 lights, and it's air-to-air footage of what people may believe are alien spacecraft. It's really intense stuff, and I've got a low-ish resolution, but it gives you the impression of what's going on here anyway. And there. 1, 2, 3. So the crew does not know what this is. So you can see the So that's our audio from the show over the top.
There were 11 objects seen in total, all picked up on the FLIR.
James Fox's voice.
And at one point, they surrounded the plane to the point where the pilots got so
freaked out that they turned off their running lights in the transponder. So as these things go, it's legit. And sort of exciting. You know, it's interesting to see what a cold look at this would produce. So it looks like they're moving from left to right. I'm not saying it's a hoax, that's what we just said, but coincidentally. And that's about it. A string of 11 lights, 2 big ones, and so here we go. How do we investigate it? Go back to those exact same things. What was the recording mechanism? The best possible camera that I think humanity could have ever aimed at something unexplained. It gives me everything you could possibly ask for. Its current GPS coordinates, azimuth, meaning which direction from 0 to 360 degrees was the camera pointed, its inclination, how far off the horizon was it pointed, the date time to the second. It's all there. So for me, I was very encouraged. I thought maybe I could actually figure out what this is, or this might stand up. You've got enough info to actually say something about this. Again, very hard to get better than this. So next, what are the appearance of the objects? And then what are the apparent motion? Well, the appearance, they're just points of light. An interesting note is they never break formation. So as they're tracking them and they're panning left and right across them, they are always in the same sequence. Okay. And then I was made aware once we were out there that there is a leading skeptical hypothesis about what this is, that there's an oil complex, refineries essentially, way out in the ocean, 100 miles away, and the military was just filming them. And so you get an initial response, it's like, really? I mean, this is military, they're just going to be faked out by some lights over there. So in the show, we set up a recreation to test the hypothesis because the data was so good. So we chartered a plane. I was strapped to the floor of the aircraft with no chair using a ratchet strap because I came over and the camera guy had a harness and one of the executive producers had a harness and James got a seat and the pilot got a seat and I'm like, well, you want to go and use a camera? Yeah, okay, well, you have to sit on the floor with no door. So anyway, it was really exciting to be at 10,000 feet and a ratchet strap between me and 10,000 feet of 2 miles of air to the ocean. But so we went out there and we did it. We didn't have as sophisticated cameras they did, but we thought, well, can you even see the oil complex? And we saw a whole bunch of nothing. So pointed in the right direction. We went up there. Okay, so you rule out the oil complex, answer to this. And I thought, okay, well, let's come at this a different direction. So I said, well, that pattern, that's so interesting. Did the pattern of the towers or anything at the oil complex, does that even jive with this? And so I started looking at it, and sure enough, it was this 3 and 3 thing that really got me. And guess what? Well, the towers make the same pattern. So I thought, wow, God, it's really far away, but maybe, I don't know, maybe it was the oil complex. So then I looked at the other. Well, this to me was very suspicious, that the big twofer way off on the left looks exactly like its appearance of two large burning vents that you have on what would have been the west side of the complex. I thought, God, maybe the camera was really seeing the oil complex. I mean, it was sort of convincing. I didn't start there, but then I said, well, we got to really, there's a way to do this. So because the info is so good, we know exactly where the plane was, exactly where the camera was pointed. I said, okay, if their camera could, so skip the demonstration altogether. If you had infinitely bright beacons on that oil complex, what pattern of lights would it make? If the camera could see it. So maybe the atmosphere was just right, or the camera was tuned just right. I mean, obviously the crew hadn't seen anything like that before. What would it look like? Which is just geometry. So I did it, and unfortunately, almost none of this made the show. But so here you are. You're looking. This is to the left, the Yucatan Peninsula. The Gulf of Mexico's here. Here's Campeche is the coast, and this little red square there, rectangle, is the Canaveral oil complex. And so if you zoom in, I found a satellite image that actually showed them while they were burning, these sort of little orange dots, which in the bright specks in the middle are just reflections off the water and waves. So what I did is I highlighted the towers in red, took the points out of there. So okay, and I'll clip through this quickly. I don't want to saturate you with geometry, but so these are the actual locations. These red dots. These are all the towers that could be burning out of the oil complex. And I said, okay. Now, so these are our reference points. Now let's just put sight lines through them. So if the plane, we know where it was. So the plane, actually I'll go back for just. So the plane was over here in the jungle flying northeast. And so, very interestingly, if you project sight lines through them against the horizon, which is what it looked like to the plane, what do you get? Two for 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1. 11 lights, exactly the same pattern that they saw in the video, which of course doesn't make the Mexican military look very good. There's a lot of resistance to this, which is okay. I mean, there's a lot of context to this. You can get really spooked by things if you're not prepped for them. Granted, I don't think they tested using that camera seeing 100 miles away. But this isn't good enough. I thought, okay, we can do better than this. So the pattern matches, that's great. You get your 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, which is the same shape of the towers. Great. But I noticed something. So, well, this light, early in the video, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So the first one of the second trio, it's actually two towers overlapping each other. I noticed that when I did the geometry, and I thought, okay, well, as the plane continued to move, you would start to reveal this second tower that was covered up. And so there's a prediction, which is a powerful thing in the sciences. And so you would expect that light, the one on the first of the second threefer, to turn into two lights as the video went on. And, drum roll, look at that. So sure enough, as the plane continued later on, you see there are actually two lights there in the threefer. So for me, that was a nail in the coffin. And basically the military guys had a much better camera than they thought. And you notice the clouds were moving. That wasn't the camera panning. The plane was flying this way and looking out the left window. So what looks like motion when you're watching lights moving, they were stationary, and the plane was just watching clouds come in between them. So it looked like they were going this way, but really they were just sitting there, and the clouds were going by. And so to me, with those, you've got the fact that it matches the light arrangement. And so you get the 11, the series of 11 lights, and then you actually predicted one light turning into two. I think it actually was the oil complex. I went and convinced myself. But that's the sort of thing that you would want to look at. That kind of depth too. Like, why not kick it? Why not? What's the worst that can happen? It'll either say it's not the oil complex, or it is. And so, either I could only conclude either you had some sort of craft hovering directly over each tower, or it was just the towers. So there you go. And I think that's leading us to the end.